Statement, and now give the floor to Permanent Representative Lebanon.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I wish to thank you for organizing today's open debate and honoring us with the presence of the Foreign Minister of Japan. Allow me also to join my colleagues in welcoming their excellencies, the ministers from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Afghanistan, Sierra Leone, Timor-Leste, and the Managing Director of the World Bank. I would also like to thank the Secretary General for his insightful remarks. After 15 years and a dozen major operations, peacebuilding remains a vast, complex, and only partially successful experiment. Important lessons have been learned along the way. Yet, there is still much that we need to learn about building the conditions for a durable peace in war-torn states. A common agreed element of peacebuilding is the need for a coordinated and integrated strategy which defines critical peacebuilding priorities. This strategy should be forged at the country level through dialogue with national actors. The alignment of action and resources behind it is critical for successful peacebuilding. Due to the increased complexity of the post-conflict reconstruction processes, it's fundamental that the strategy be flexible and subject to timely review according to evolving peacebuilding priorities and developments on the ground. Perhaps the most common criticism of peacebuilding to date has been that international agencies are not sufficiently sensitive to the unique characteristics of each host country. Indeed, a particular institutional solution or sequence of events is not necessarily appropriate simply because it has been used with relative success in another conflict-affected country. Countries have unique histories and traditions of social organization, which create different challenges and opportunities for conflict resolution. Therefore, it's not possible to develop a generic blueprint for peacebuilding engagement. Such engagement should be context-sensitive and address the underlying causes of the conflict. The main peacebuilding objectives are establishing security, building confidence in the political process, expanding core national capacity, and achieving socio-economic development, as we all know. It's important, however, to identify the activities which best contribute to achieving these objectives according to the country's specific situation and its actual needs. Since these objectives are interdependent and mutually reinforcing, it's fundamental for the peacebuilding framework to be clearly articulated and to ensure coherence among these objectives, whether at the level of planning or implementation. Mr. President, security and the prevention of new eruptions of violence are the foremost goals in any peacebuilding process. Without a reasonable assurance of physical security for the bulk of the population, there is little hope of achieving progress on institution building, intercommunal reconciliation, reconstruction, and development. Therefore, security sector reform is essential and should be nationally owned from the outset. Effective SSR requires effective disarmament, the creation of security forces that are well-trained, disciplined, and politically neutral, and a security sector that is under the civilian oversight of a democratic government. Mr. President, a basic level of political will and commitment on the part of national actors is a precondition for peacebuilding. Political issues that remain unaddressed or only partially addressed by peace agreements may call, after such an agreement is signed, for sustained mediation efforts as part of a coherent approach to peacebuilding. Successful peacebuilding efforts require the promotion of a participatory process of healing and reconciliation through inclusive dialogue. To initiate change to the political culture of society is one of the most difficult aspects of any post-conflict transition. It requires long-term strategies involving large segments of society and could include extensive education, sensitivity campaigns, and consensus building within society. These more intangible aspects of peace building are frequently overlooked in favor of more technical rebuilding and assistance. Nonetheless, they are essential to long-term change. The people must be at the heart of any quest for solutions to conflict and efforts to consolidate peace. A poor governance framework will undermine the sustainability of peace. Thus, it's essential for the peace-building process to advance and support the establishment of a democratic, transparent, and accountable governments and the reconstruction of well-functioning state institutions. Delivery of early peace dividends include the provision of basic services. Countries in conflict often experience a serious deterioration of the complete destruction of their systems of governance, service delivery, and economic production. Successful peace building requires helping societies to reverse these trends. Peace building also requires responding coherently to the needs of vulnerable people through programs and services to integrate both repatriated refugees and ex-combatants into civil society, to resettle internally displaced persons, and to assist war-affected populations in general. Women, in particular, are a key to peace building. Their full participation in the peace building process is essential, both as victims of conflict and as important drivers of recovery and development processes. But how do we ensure that peace building efforts are perceived as legitimate in the eyes of those they are trying to help? The answer is to maximize local ownership by involving populations as quickly and extensively as possible in their own governance. National actors are the engine and the drivers of the peace-building process. They are able to identify the most pressing needs of their society and the most effective means of addressing them. Hence, the national authorities must take primary responsibility for re-establishing the key institutions of security, governance, and economic recovery with the support of the United Nations and international partners. Since the greatest resource for a durable peace is always rooted in the local people and their culture, this peace should be built from below by enhancing sustainable, citizen-based peace-building initiatives and by opening up public political spaces in order to allow institutions of civil society to flourish. To this end, peace-building efforts should promote initiatives that incorporate citizen-based activities, including community peace projects and other grassroots initiatives, in order to empower civil society and to deepen its capacity for non-violent social change. Financial resources are indeed essential prerequisites, without which effective leadership, common strategy, and more predictable support capacity remain within theoretical paradigm. Finally, when large-scale violence ends, the challenges facing the leadership and people of a country are enormous, and peace is often fragile. International support in such complex and rapidly evolving situations is fundamental and requires member states and international organizations to align their assistance and engagement in support of an early and prioritized peace-building framework in a flexible and predictable manner. Civil wars, by definition, are fought primarily within the boundaries of a single state, but they are rarely isolated from political and economic dynamics in the surrounding region. Violence in one country is often part of a larger regional constellation of conflict. Hence, the importance of cooperation with regional organizations, given the transnational nature of many peace-building challenges. The Peacebuilding Commission is the main United Nations platform for international engagement in post-conflict countries. We look forward to this year's review, which will provide an opportunity to improve the Commission's effectiveness in fulfilling its mandate and enhancing its relationship with the Council. Lebanon supports the adoption of the presidential statement on peace building. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank Parliamentary Representative for his statement. And now